Hello everyone, welcome to A Clear Perspective. I'm Serene. I saw a video on YouTube today. It was an interview with Jackie Jackson, a black police officer from the Portland Police Bureau. Jackson was on the front lines last year when Antifa protests were at their peak. He was hit with rocks and frozen water bottles while trying to maintain peace. He told the story of a time he was on duty. There were blacks, Latinos, and Asians approached and wanted to have a conversation with him. But each time, a white person immediately came over and stopped it, saying, "Don't talk to the police." Once a young African-American girl came over and asked, "Why is it you guys aren't talking to us?" He told her, "Every time I try to have a conversation with someone that looks like me, so a white comes up and blocks him and tells him not to talk." Right after Jackson said that, a white girl appeared right in front of the African-American girl and asked her to leave. The African-American girl asked why. Jackson also asked, "Why do you feel that she can't speak for herself to me? Why is it that you feel you need to speak for her when we are having a conversation?" She said someone told her to do it. The question is, who is behind this? Why didn't they let people talk to police officers? Furthermore, why weren't people of color allowed to talk to black police officers? Is there racism in America? Maybe. Is there any systemic racial discrimination? I don't think so. Before I came to the United States, I had been to many countries, including Singapore, the United Kingdom, Australia, and so on. One of the events I covered as a journalist shortly after arriving in the United States was a speech given by Elaine Chao at her alma mater. She said that when she first arrived in the United States, she did not even know the alphabets and her English was very poor. But in just a few decades, she became the cabinet secretary of the United States. I know this is impossible in all other countries that I have been to. I'm afraid the United States is the only country in the world that gives people, especially first-generation immigrants, such an opportunity. Americans have sent people of color to the White House and the Supreme Court, and they are still accused of discriminating against people of color. I'm really speechless. In another country, I once experienced someone I don't know came up to me and said, "Why did you Chinese come to our country? After you Chinese came, our country became so and so." In other countries, there were also passing by people on the street. As soon as they hear you speaking with non-native accent, there is contempt in their eyes. But when I first came to America and walked on the streets of New York City, I felt the difference. For the first time, upon setting foot in foreign soil, I do not feel like a foreigner at all. No one discriminates against others based on their accent, skin color, or dress. It was a sense of freedom. In this land, everyone is treated as an American. Back in China, it was even common to discriminate against people from different regions within the country. But in the US, it doesn't matter where you came from. All that matters is that you are American. But the left is now teaching American children to hate America because it is oppressive, greedy, and systemically racist. They are teaching the children to hate America because they are communists. Their goal is to subvert America, to subvert capitalism, by dividing society into various categories, opposing each other, creating divisions, and creating chaos. Are there problems in America? Of course there are. But the solution is not socialism nor communism. Socialist economic systems and ideologies simply do not work, even though the left seem to be in a dominant position in America now. I do not believe it would last long, because there are so many freedom-loving people, people who remember the freedom of speech, press, and religion. Also because the extreme left in the United States actually have different goals, agendas. Their interests cannot be coordinated. Thus, I don't believe that the left in America, especially the extreme left, can be sustained for long. Next, I would like to discuss some important findings regarding China's development of vaccine. Reports show that China may have begun its vaccine development as early as 2019. As we all know, the World Health Organization had already sent teams to China to investigate the origin of the virus twice. However, after the investigations, what WHO experts did was just publicly endorsed theories that the CCP fabricated. What's interesting about the CCP is that sometimes their government officials might release confidential information in order to gain political benefits. It would be beneficial for the outside world to see the truth that the CCP is hiding. On March 7th, the Chinese media Sina posted an article from Health Times. The article received global attention for its unbelievable claims on vaccination. If the article was true, then the level of research on the virus and the development of vaccines in China would be beyond our imagination. The headline of the article is very shocking. It translates to, State drug leader injected new COVID vaccine last year in March. High level of antibodies still exist. Yu Qingming is the chairman of Sinopharm Group and the deputy for the National People's Congress. Voice of China, a channel from China National Radio, exclusively interviewed him on March 6. At the National People's Congress, he revealed that there were cases where high levels of antibodies still existed 1 year after the Sinopharm vaccine was administered. Qingming stated that some of the firm's leaders received the COVID-19 vaccine as early as March 2020. He added that after continuously tracking the first group of Sinopharm vaccine recipients for a year, the antibodies were still abundant, without any obvious decline. The news spread quickly. It's understandable that he spoke about the vaccine during the National People's Congress. It was an excellent occasion for him to stand out and showcase his political achievements. But this poses a problem. According to the Chinese Communist Party officials, the earliest appearance of the CCP virus in Wuhan was in December 2019. The major outbreak happened in January 2020. The China CDC successfully isolated the virus from clinical samples for the first time on January 7th. And on January 11th, Chinese professors published the genome of the CCP virus on the open access site virological.org. This was the earliest release of the sequence in the world, which was January 11, 2020. But according to Yu Qingming, Sinopharm executives were getting vaccine shots as early as March 2020. This means that it only took 2 months from getting the full genome sequence of the virus to developing a successful vaccine and injecting it in the company's leaders. From a professional point of view, it is not possible. Even America, the country with the most advanced biomedical research capabilities, cannot achieve this speed. Why was Sinopharm's vaccine development so fast? Could it be that Yu was bragging in order to exaggerate his political achievements? From the information available, this statement doesn't seem to be bragging. On July 21st last year, Sinopharm chairman Liu Jingzhen confirmed in an interview with CCTV News that he had tried Sinopharm's vaccine on March 30th, 2020. It is important to note that the vaccine developed by Sinopharm was an inactivated vaccine. Inactivated vaccines are relatively easy to produce and the technology is relatively developed. On August 18, 2020, Liu claimed in another interview with the party-controlled media Guangming Daily that Sinopharm had been conducting immunogenicity studies on animals since February 16th. They performed tests on different animals, including rats, mice, pigs, monkeys, and rabbits. This was in accordance with international practice to verify the effectiveness of the vaccine. This was immediately followed by small-scale human testing and clinical studies. From what Liu said, Sinopharm only started experimenting on animals in mid-February, but the vaccine was produced and injected in the company's leaders by the end of March. Why were the Sinopharm executives able to get vaccinated as early as March 2020? The only possible reason is because they had a genome sequence of the virus long ago and had long started the development of the vaccine. This also implies that the CCP knew ahead of time that the virus could be transmittable between humans. Otherwise, why would they need to develop the vaccine? In other words, because the CCP was already aware that the virus could infect humans, they gathered a lot of vaccine development data beforehand. This was why, when the outbreak first happened, China was well prepared, while the rest of the world was amid confusion. From another perspective, Yu Qingming's statement about the origin of the virus is aligned with the report released by the U.S. Department of State. According to the Department of State, quote, the U.S. government has reason to believe that several researchers inside the Wuhan lab became sick in autumn 2019, before the first identified case of the outbreak. This is consistent with the cell phone report obtained by NBC showing that the Wuhan Institute of Virology had been completely closed for over 2 weeks in early October 2019. With this, we can assume that due to the accident during that month, the CCP began to develop a vaccine to counteract it. From October 2019 to March 2020, it was around 6 months before Yu Qingming and the other people were vaccinated. And the 6 months is just the minimum amount of time needed for an inactivated vaccine to be developed. Therefore, we can see that the timeline fits perfectly. 6 months after the accident in Wuhan Institute, Yu Qingming's vaccine was completed. Lastly, we would like to remind our viewers again that our platform may be restricted on social media. We would like to recommend the YouMaker platform to everyone. It has earned our trust and respect, as it provides a safe, convenient platform and a fair opportunity for us to report unbiased news. Our videos are available on YouMaker. Please subscribe and we hope to see you there. Thank you for your support. We'll see you next time.